Leadheads, welcome back to the Talking Lead podcast. This is episode 192. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's show. Oh, and by the way, I'm your host, Left Hand. And I do have a co-host with me. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. All the way from the UK, we've got our good buddy, Alan Easton, ladies and gentlemen.
I've been bumped to co-host this time.
Our leadhead from across the pond. Yes.
Yeah, spot on. Hello, everybody. It's good to be back.
So you guys may have seen Alan's response to our post to last week's show, where our jackwagon was a gentleman from my town that I live in here in Murfreesboro, where he was illegally smuggling some suppressors in. So we've got some follow-up on that story and some insight from Alan on that. So that's one reason why we wanted to invite Alan on the show. And then, of course, as everybody has heard recently, the Bonehead, which is going to be our jackwagon this week over there, that ran over some people in a vehicle and killed 4, I think, and stabbed a police officer and murdered him as well. Another Muslim extremist. All in the name of Allah Akbar. Aloha Snack Bar or whatever.
Aloha Snack Bar.
Aloha Snack Bar, yeah. So last week's show we had our good buddy Argo J on, so I hope you guys caught that and went out and bought his magazine skill set, which I'm looking. I just bought it, Alan. I went out and bought it. You see it? There's skill set.
Oh, hey, that looks all right, doesn't it?
It's pretty good.
It's got quite a recoil sort of look to it as well, hasn't it?
It's
title and
kind of coming across as that alpha lifestyle, magazine, kind of like Recoil does. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Recoil. Going through and reading and seeing the types of articles and stories that are in here, but it does go above and beyond just firearms. So there's a little bit of everything in here. There's stuff about beer. There's stuff about cigars. There's gear review, which that is what Argo J was doing. They had giving, 4 or 5 different people a Gray Ghost gypsy bag, and they all wrote a little review on it there, and that's where Argo's is. I'll show you. Citizen 1. I don't know, can you see that?
Oh, yeah, just about.
Yeah, right there. So that's Argo's little thing.
That's spot on.
I say little thing. That's Argo's review of the Gray Ghost gypsy bag. And I like what he says in it. I'm just going to give you a little taste of what Argo says. So he's saying he's taken out in the rain, and it's got a wax kind of canvas on it. So he says, I figured the water would roll off it like sweat on a stripper's ass.
Oh, yeah.
Great review here by definitely Argo, and there's several other people, but you're going to have to get the magazine to read the full article. I just want to give you a little taste there. But it's called Skill Set Magazine, and you get it at, what's the name of that bookstore? Barnes & Noble. Do you have Barnes & Noble in the UK?
No, it's one that I hear about on podcasts all the time. I listen to quite a few podcasts these days from likes of yourself and a few other sort of lifestyle ones. And they always go on about Barnes & Noble, but we don't have Barnes & Noble over here. Our big one over here would be like W.H. Smith's or what's the big bookshop called? Oh, I forget the name of it, but we've W.H. Smith's used to be good for all the magazines and what have you, so gotcha. That would be the one that...
well, I can tell you this is the first and only magazine or book or anything that I've ever bought from Barnes & Noble, so that's how often I go to Barnes & Noble. And it was just to get the Skill Set magazine, so if you guys get an opportunity, and it wasn't in the sports section either. It was in like men's lifestyle or something like that. I had a tough time finding it, so I had to ask the person up front to scope it out for me. So if you have trouble finding it, just go to the person up front there at the checkout counter, and they'll help you find it. So.
I suppose that's what they're aiming at, isn't it? Is the lifestyle side of things rather than just focusing on the sports and firearms side, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's the style, it's the the lifestyle, the fitness. There's a lot of fitness things in here. They got some MMA guys in here. There's some tips on for women. on fighting and protecting themselves. So I mean, it's a good variety, and they've even got a dude from Five Finger Death Punch. Is his name
which one?
Zoltan
Bathory.
There you go. Yeah.
That man is a beast. He will kick your ass, take you to the range, have a great time with you at the range, and then drive you home in his Ferrari. Oh my! Do you know him?
No, I don't. I don't know him, but I know of him, and I know Five Finger Death Punch. I love Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I only really got into the. Funnily enough, not long after being on the show with Dan and what have you. What was it? I was following somebody at the time, and they'd done an AR for him for Zoltan, and they'd done it in they'd cerakoted it red and yellow, I think it was. I'm trying to think who it was. It wasn't unique ARs, but it had a 4-stock on it like unique ARs do. I think it had Five Finger Death Punch on it. Anyway, nice. And they'd sent it out to him, and they painted it the same red and yellow that's on his Ferrari. So when they tagged
I think I saw that. I think I have seen that one. Yeah.
It did the rounds for a while. I think it still goes round every now and again. So yeah, I've then looked into Zoltan Bathory, found out about Five Finger Death Punch, and listened to a few of their albums. Yeah, I quite like them guys. Yeah, they seem like no holds barred sort of proper American rock sort of band. They're pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't even think he's American. I think he immigrated over here. But it says, with a bag of clothes, a guitar, and an English dictionary, I managed to make my way to the land of the free that had a constitution worth defending.
Awesome. Yeah, don't get much better than that, does it?
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one, yeah.
So I Googled Zoltan Bathory AR-15, and it's definitely Cerakoted up nice there.
Does it say who it was that built that?
Does it say who built it?
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think who it.
This was in an episode of Recall, that's why I remember seeing this, because I had that episode.
Yeah.
That issue of Recall at recallweb.com. 556 Tactical. That's what it says.
556 Tactical. Yeah, that rings a bell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's who did it. 556 Tactical.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So we went from skill set to Recall, but it's all related, man.
Not to, isn't it?
As you're reading that about Zoltan Bathory in skill set, then go check out recallweb.com, and you can look at that badass AR that 556 Tactical made for him.
Mm. So is the review that Argo J had done? He was saying on the show how they passed the same gear out to all the other guys, and they all. So on that review that he's done, does it have all the reviews from the other guys listed as well? When you flip the page around, looked like that was the
So
you could read each person's review of it and then sort of make your own mind up a little bit.
Yeah, it's called Revolution Review, and there's 1, 2, 3. 4, 5 people that reviewed this, and there's like Argo said, there's like a fitness model, fashion model chick, there's like a police officer, there's looks like a Marine, they call him the Jarhead, adventure racer, it's like a guy that does mountain biking and stuff like that, and then Argo is dubbed the Shooter.
Cool. So it gets a good spread of different types of lifestyles and reviews from them.
Yeah, different uses that people might have for it, So, they're unbiased, unpaid, and they're not all giving it thumbs up either. So, I mean, it's not getting torn up, like shredded apart, but, I mean, I think most people find a good use for it. Average rating, I think, on it was like a 7 between the 5, so.
That's good. It sounded quite interesting, the concept when he was talking about it. So it piqued my interest a little bit. So I'll have to have a look and see if we can get. Do they have a digital copy of it that you could probably download from their website or something? Maybe I'll have to have a look into that.
But I had to go get the hard copy because it's the very first one, and Leadhead Argo J is in there. So we had to support our fellow Leadheads,
Yeah.
So, speaking of supporting people, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors, the people that make this show possible. Frontier Tactical. You guys heard me talk last week. They have released their new line of AR-15s with the Warlock system, the multi-caliber adapter system. All their rifles, they're calling the FT-15s, as Frontier Tactical 15s, come with the multiple caliber platform now. So when you buy it, it's standard, and you'll be able to, right out of the box, be able to shoot up to 90 different calibers. Obviously, you're just going to have to buy the different barrel assemblies, whatnot, and bolts. If it does require a bolt magazine, you'll have to change those. But that's pretty cool. They've got a pistol version of it also. Pretty cool stuff. Real awesome truck gun. If you guys are looking for a versatile truck gun, then you need to check out Frontier Tactical and their new FT-15 line of AR-15s. X Steel Targets.
X Steel Targets.
The best, most affordable AR-500 steel targets on the market today. X Steel Targets. Check them out at xsteeltargets.com. You want a shooting star, they've got it. You want a dueling tree, they've got it. You want just gongs and metal plates to shoot, they've got those. You want silhouettes. Or if there's something you think of that they don't have, get with them, and more than likely they'll be able to make it for you. So give Bud Sanson a call over there at xsteeltargets.com, or actually shoot him an email, because I don't know his phone number right off. I know his personal number, but I can't give that to you. But I'm sure he'd probably be fine if I did give that out. He's a really nice guy. Modern Spartan Systems for your cleaning, lube. They do it all. They've got the Modern Spartan System Accuracy Oil. They've got the grease. They have the Carbon Destroyer. They have the lens cleaners for your scopes. Even for your shooting glasses, you can put that stuff on there, and that'll help with your shooting glasses. Your iPro. And they even have some products for your vehicles. And I forget to mention when I talk about them is they even have some stuff for you fishermen out there, too, that you can put on your fishing line that helps with that. I've never used lubrication fishing before, but apparently some people do. So I guess it's a necessity. So check them out. They're actually, Alan, getting into the automotive racing world as well. I know they're doing some tests with some of the, I think, NASCAR teams. I can't say which ones, but they're testing their product out right now.
Cool. Oh, that sounds good. I remember hearing you saying you running some in your truck at the minute, in the lead sled. Yeah. Thinking, wonder whether they come up with some applications for race cars. So yeah, they have. So I might be able to put you in touch with him for your race. Alan does racing. We haven't talked about that yet, but Alan is into racing, and we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up also. Yeah. So check them out, modernspartansystems.com. Glock, the official carry of Talking Lead. And do you guys can carry there in the UK, right? Or can't you? You can't, can you? No.
Not even with a special permit, can you?
Nope, nothing. You technically you could be prosecuted for carrying a bunch of keys if you held them in the wrong way over here.
But you can own a suppressor.
A lot of you guys will struggle to grasp with, but yeah.
But you can buy a suppressor over the counter, but you can't carry a firearm. So
yeah. A
lot of good that does you. But
yeah.
Glock, check them out at usglock.com. In addition to firearms, you live the Glock lifestyle. They've got clothes, they've got hats, they've got coolers, cigar cutters, you name it. They've got all kinds of stuff in their Glock store, so go check them out, usglock.com. Multicam Pattern, sponsors of the lead sled camo that we've got going right now, the black multicam. Thanks to Ernesto over there for hooking us up with that. Looking at maybe doing an arid multicam next time. We'll see how that goes. But anytime you guys go to any of these sponsors, like I've said in the past, use code LEADHEAD, and most of them have it set up where you'll get some sort of a discount. Even if you don't, there's usually like a little section where you can contact them. Just shoot them a little message, let them know you're Leadhead, and they'll hook you up with something. So, let's get on with the show. I know the man over there at the UK, Alan, you're 5 hours ahead of us. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It's half past 8 in the evening now. So
okay, so it's getting close to dinner time and bedtime for you, huh?
Yeah, not far off. Got a busy day tomorrow. A lot of work to do on the car. We've got a practice session in the morning and then qualifying in the afternoon with Luke Browning in his Citroen Saxo race car.
So tell me about this. So were you into racing last time you were on? You've been on what, 2 times?
Just once before. So this is the second time.
The second time? Okay.
No, I wasn't really in. I was always been into it. I watched the Formula One and a couple of different race series over in the UK most of my life, but really got into it not long after being on the show with you and back when Zeke was on. Yeah,
Bigfoot. Yeah. So this racing, you just got into it a little bit after your last appearance on our show.
Yeah.
What is Saxo? What is a Saxo car? Saxo racing. What is that?
I was just thinking that. I don't think you guys have experienced the delights of a Citroen Saxo over your way. If you Google it, you can pull up images and stuff. They're basically a little 2-door hatchback.
Looks like a rabbit or something like that.
Yeah, like a little the VW Rabbits, little small hatchback.
Little Honda something, yeah.
Typically come with the more top of the range models come with a 1600cc engine.
Nice.
Pushing out a whopping 120 horsepower.
Wow.
So absolutely minuscule in what you guys are used to. I think you guys have got lawnmowers that are more powerful, haven't you?
Well, yeah. I think I was gonna say I think my girlfriend's vibrator is more powerful than that. But that might put me in a bad light, mightn't it?
Yeah, they're a bit smaller than what you guys are used to. But over here, 1.6 to 2 litres is an average sort of size engine. So when they came out around the sort of late 90s, 2000s, they were quite a good little car. You know, they developed a bit of a reputation in the UK for being what they call a chav car. How do you explain chavs?
Chavs, spell that.
CHAV. It's supposed to stand for council housed and violent. It was a derogatory term for people who are on social security and live basically depend on the state for their entire livelihood. They were quite cheap, cheerful little cars, so they were bought by people at the sort of the bottom rung of the social ladder, right, shall we say. But they're quite capable, quite well handling little cars. So they also made quite an impression in the motorsport side of things. And me and my other half, we actually bought one just over 10 years ago now, I think. Fell in love with the little thing. One of my cousins had it for sale. I went down, had a test drive. He lives in the countryside, so we went thrashing around all these little country lanes. And I got out the car and I was laughing my head off and just thought, I've got to buy this. This is brilliant fun. You know, the sort of thing you just turn the steering wheel, it goes where you point it, you put your foot down, it takes off like a bit of a rocket. You know,
so these are just like a step up from a go-kart.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you guys probably have seen the minis, you know, the old-fashioned mini cars, Mini Coopers. Yeah. They're like a modern equivalent of that. Slightly, I say modern, they're old now, but you know what I mean. For year 2000, around that era, they were a modern equivalent of the Mini, you know, wheel in each corner, good power to weight ratio, good handling. They were just fun to drive. So I ended up getting the first one about 10 years ago with my other half. We did a few little tweaks to the suspension, exhaust, and inlet manifold changes just to get a bit of extra extra power out of it. And we drove all over the country in it, went and visited family, went on holidays, really enjoyed it. So it sort of got under our skin a little bit between the pair of us, and me more so. I ended up buying another one, which I've then developed into my own race car. I bought it with the idea was behind the second one was to buy, build and get on track for under £1,000. So I bought the car, I bought some decent suspension, did some basic engine modifications, bought a bucket seat and a harness, and then booked a track day at Anglesey Race Circuit.
So how much money have you dumped into this thing?
Now
after you bought it, yeah. I mean, after how much?
Yeah, probably around £2,500 so far.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, they're nowadays you can pick them up for a couple of £100, $1,000 and below. Easily will get you a good one, and they're great little cars. They really suit the motorsport side of things now, and track day goers, people who just want something cheap and cheerful that they don't have to spend a lot of money on, but they want to get a lot of bang for the buck. So you could buy one of these, put a few £1,000 into it, a couple of $1,000 maybe, get it set up really well and take it on at any track anywhere. And I
would be surprised that they're not racing these in America. Are they not? Do you know that for a fact?
Not that I know of. No, I'm not aware of any sort of outside of Europe. UK, we've got a couple of series where they're quite popular, a couple of different race series. The one that we're working with at the minute is the Junior Saloon Car Championship, where they use solely Citroen Saxos. You've got a couple of different series, the CNC Heads Tin Top Championships. They use all sorts of different cars, but the Peugeot 106 and the Citroen Saxos, they're quite prolific in those championships. They do really well. The Peugeot 106 was basically a carbon copy of the Citroen Saxo, just the body shape was slightly different, so it looked a little bit squarer than the Citroen Saxos. And then in Europe, they do really well with the Saxos in the hill climbing and sprinting side of things. So it's when you're going to get a couple of 1,000 meters worth of track up the side of a hill. You start at the bottom and it's the fastest one to the top in different classes, one at a time going up the hill. It's quite good fun.
So how fast can you go on one of these? Depending
on what you've done modifications wise, but on a basic bog standard one that you pick up you could pick up from the forecourt. I think they topped out around 127 miles an hour.
Now these races that you do they you have to put governors on them to where you're limited to a certain amount of tweaks and upgrades that you can do to your car? Or?
The Junior Saloon Car Championship that we're doing is predominant. It's a, like I say, a single car championship. So they use the Citroen Saxos only, and they use the 1.6 8-valve variant of the engines, which on a new one you were pushing out around the 90 horsepower mark. Okay. So they're not massive power, not a big. The cars weigh. The basic weight for them has to be a minimum of 830 kilos.
Now, is this a track that's is it a circular track, oval track, or what kind of track is it?
Yeah.
Is it like a
many corners, all sorts of loads of different corners. So your typical sort of English and European circuit. We're not doing a lot of sort of oval races like you guys like your NASCAR stuff and everything. It's not so much like that.
I got you.
So the series that we're working with is very, very strict on what you can and can't do with the engines. It's what they call a stock hatch series. So it's a stock hatchback series. So pretty much everything has to be the standard parts that you would get on the car when it was bought, other than we're allowed to change the suspension dampers out for ones that are set in the regulations. There's specific dampers that every car has to use the same type of dampers. The camshaft in the engine is a set camshaft as well, and then the ECU, the engine control unit, that's a championship ECU as well. So they're the three big things that we have to run all the same. So that basically
you can't put a big thing of nitrous in there and soup it up.
No, there's not even anywhere where you could hide one in one of these cars. That's small and sort of tightly packaged. You couldn't even hide one anywhere to get around it. You do get people try the odd thing here and there, trying to run different camshafts and stuff, but the scrutineers are really
fuel?
good.
What kind of
find
fuel
all
are you
sorts of bits
using
and bobs.
for the most part? Just regular gas in these?
Yeah, just pump gas. Over here, we're blessed with 98 RON pump gas, so it's pretty good stuff. We try and run it on the best fuel we can and try and eke every horsepower out that we can. Like I say, with these things only pushing around the 90 horsepower mark, they're good power per weight, but the more you can get out of the engines, the better.
Well, it sounds like another money pit to me. It's like guns.
Yeah. Like I say, I was supporting Luke Browning in the Junior Saloon Car Championships, watching Luke's dad get his wallet out every weekend.
Yeah. Now, is this something that Leadheads will be able to watch on any kind of like live broadcast or anything like that?
We were supposed to be getting televised this weekend. We're at Silverstone Race Circuit, which is the famous Formula One circuit in the UK. We're over here this weekend racing, and it was supposed to be on Motors TV. I don't know if you guys can get that over there. I'm not too sure whether it goes over to you guys. I know it's
be able to get anything through the interwebs.
Yeah, you'd be able to get it on there. Unfortunately, the guys pulled the plug on it at the last minute for some reason. We're not too sure why. We just got an email saying that it won't be televised. The last race of the season as well will be televised, I believe. So fingers crossed that one comes off. But if you go onto the juniorsaloonscars.co.uk, you can find out all the information about the cars and the drivers and what have you there, and any information on there. And obviously searching for the Junior Saloon Car Championship on Facebook to get some more eyes on the young drivers.
Exposure.
Yeah, I mean, all the drivers on the grid, like I say, are 14 to 17 years old. They're all looking to get the feet on the first rung of the motorsport ladder, and this is a great cost-effective way to do it. There's a lot of close racing, so it does get quite exciting.
Speaking of drivers, I think I hear the Jackwagon train rolling in. So bring that train in, Gunny. I think we're going to have a repeat customer this week.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right. As I had mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about our last week's Jackwagon, and then we kind of alluded to who this week's Jackwagon is going to be. But one of the reasons we've got Alan on is he had made some observations about our Jackwagon from last week, which was
Mr. Grattan. Paul Grattan, 50 of Murfreesboro.
The guy who got convicted of smuggling suppressors from the UK to the US. Didn't have a lot of background on the story, but since Guns.com, Chris Egger, sorry if I f***ed up your name, Chris, but he did a follow-up on it, did a little more, got a little more information for us. So it says, according to court documents, Grattan, who holds passports for both the US and Britain, I think he's a former citizen of the UK.
Yeah, I was just flicking through the report.
Relocated.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he relocated here, and just so happens here in the town I live in, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He owns a company called UK Aero, and what they do is, I did a little research on that, is they do, I think they've got helicopter services as far as maintenance and repair and things for helicopters, and he may even have his own, and he offers like helicopter rides or something, I don't know. But anyway, while traveling to England last year, or actually it's 2015, for work to visit his sick mother, who still resides there, he purchased 6 rimfire suppressors over the counter, which is legal there. Paid about $50 each for those suppressors. And Alan and I were talking about these suppressors aren't high quality suppressors. They're not something you want to slap on your 9mm or your AR-15. They're more of air gun or maybe even a 22 at best.
Yeah, absolute top. The upper limits that I'd use them on would be a 2.2. Anything bigger than that, you're gonna end up with a face full of metal.
Right. So he disassembled the devices and shipped some suppressor components to his business via DHL, labeled aircraft-related parts. So, then carried other parts with him in his checked luggage when returning to Tennessee. So here's the kicker for you people who own your own businesses, or maybe if you don't. What tipped off authorities to the action was a call from one of Grattan's employees to federal agents. The employee turned confidential source, which means he didn't want his name revealed, forwarded pictures of the parcel. And this is a small company, by the way, that this guy owns. I can't imagine him having more than 2 or 3 employees. So he's going to know who it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know how his confidentiality is going to help him any in this case.
When he gets out, that guy's he's not going to have a job for much longer.
I'm sure
he
he doesn't have one now. It says, once Grattan returned to the country and retrieved the package, an agent from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive, armed with a search warrant, paid him a visit at his home and asked about the suppressors. I'm sure he was armed with more than just a search warrant.
You would hope so.
Calling the items moderators, which I guess that's what you guys call them in the UK, call suppressors moderators.
Yeah, we try and, well, like anything, isn't it? Try and stay clear of the word silencers. They don't silence, and you always get that film type image, don't you, for the general public that don't
suppressor,
know.
I mean, suppressor is perfect. They suppress sound is what they do.
Yeah.
So calling the items moderators, Grattan pointed out 5 of the devices, which were located on a credenza in his office, and retrieved the 6th from behind a panel in his workshop. So he wasn't trying to hide it at all, was he? He didn't know. Doesn't sound to me like he thought he was breaking any laws, did it? I say that facetiously. So the ATF inspected the 6 devices and found they were made by, and I'm not going to be able to, can you say the name of that company?
Not a clue. Olun Tayo. Oh, I'm not even going to attempt that second one.
Ostakikas.
Ostakikas, there we go.
Ostakikas Oi, a Finnish suppressor manufacturer. When later evaluated with a Walther P22 pistol at a test range in West Virginia, the suppressors could drop the sound of gunfire by 20 decibels. The suppressors were imported illegally and not registered to Grattan in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record. In motions to the court on the lead-up to last week's trial, Grattan contended that suppressors and similar devices have no regulation requirements in many countries, such as Britain, and he was caught unaware. Why did you disassemble them and label them aircraft parts? Why did you have one hidden behind your credenza or your panel?
It's just so wrong to even hint that we have no regulation requirements. If he knew, he must know a little bit about the firearms laws over here. And to say that we have no regulation in many countries.
He was trying to play the I didn't know trump card, which ignorance is no excuse of the law.
No, exactly.
Never has been, except in the case of, who was that? Oh, Hillary Clinton. Indeed, in the land from where I hail, no antique guns and high-powered air rifles are required to have some accessories prior to use, and strongly encouraged in the remainder of target venues. It says, indeed, anything from air pistols to shotguns fall in this category as the shooting enthusiasts become more environmentally friendly. Conversely, in America, I have learned much to the detriment at the hands of a CS. Silencers and similar devices have a special set of rules about their purchase and keeping. This is his quote. I guess this is what his defense was. The government countered with the assertion that Grattan had heard suppressors ran as high as $900 in the U.S. and that he went to great lengths to camouflage his actions because he knew he was in violation of the law, which his actions speak louder than words, right?
Yeah. I mean, having one hidden behind a panel in his workshop, that kind of, to me, that and they're taking them apart, sending some parts home via DHL and the others in his bag. He knew what he was doing.
Labeled them aircraft parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah. So he was found guilty of delivering of a firearm, which suppressors aren't firearms. I mean, all the more reason that we need to get get these dropped off the NFA list, pass the HPA, the Hearing Protection Act here in America, and get suppressors made. Well, they're not illegal. Or for one, they're not illegal to have in this country. You just have to go through the proper steps. But the steps and costs that are associated with it are ridiculous. Now, when they first set that, I think the tax fee has always been $200 ever since they set it up. Yeah. Ever since the beginning. And back then, when they first set it up, $200 was like you could buy a car for $200 back in those days. So, back in those days, it was pretty substantial. But still, I mean, it's still kind of the hassle that you have to go through, the paperwork, the wait time. It's ridiculous.
It's not cost effective, is it? It really isn't.
It's not. And at the same time, when this guy did it, it's still illegal, So he knew it was illegal. He got caught. He was found guilty of delivering a firearm to a common carrier without written notice, illegal shipment of a firearm with intent to commit a felony, illegal importation of a firearm, illegal receipt of a firearm that had been imported, and unlawful possession unregistered silencers. And these didn't have serial numbers. They were unserialized because you're saying that the air rifle suppressors over there don't carry serial numbers.
Yeah, if you can get air rifle suppressors over in the UK without serial numbers on them. They're what they class as a de-restricted item. Over here, we can have air rifles and air pistols up to 6 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, and air rifles up to 12 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. So they're very, very low power. You could go varmint hunting with one of the air rifles, with a pre-charged pneumatic air rifle, where you're going to get consistent muzzle energy, but you won't be going shooting anything bigger than rabbits with it. That's the sort of level of muzzle velocity you're looking at.
Where we've got air guns here in America that are taking down big game, elks and things.
Seen them ones with the pig shooting with them, hog shooting. Oh, wow. Yeah. I would love to have a go at that.
So he faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison and a maximum fine of $250,000.
Wow.
All because he pissed off one of his employees. And that's the reason I'm throwing him on the jackwagon train is this time is he would have got away with this had he not pissed off one of his employees or even ran his mouth and told his employee what he was doing,
Yeah. If he hadn't have been a jackwagon to start with, he wouldn't be on the jackwagon train now.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. Yeah, like I say, the construction of those things is going to be so poor for what he's paid for them, and that the company that have made them, OTO. I think I have seen some of their. I'm sure I've seen some of. They are cheap and nasty pieces of kit. They're just built for little, as you guys would say, little toy pop guns.
Pop guns, yeah.
They're not anything that you could get away with selling for $900. I don't care who you're going to sell them to. They're just,
Bless his heart.
If you strap one of those to a 9mm or something, it would just fall to pieces.
Yeah. So he's not been sentenced yet. So we'll keep an eye on this case and see how Mr. Grattan fares.
Yeah.
So did you have anybody you want to throw on the jackwagon train?
As you guys will all know from the this week's events, you will have probably all seen more than I've seen in the news about the terror events in London. So
Yeah.
I'd like to put one person and one group of people on the train. Obviously, the guy that committed the horrendous crimes down there. I don't even know the guy's name. I've avoided trying to find out the guy's name because
he doesn't even deserve to have his name spoken.
Exactly. I refuse to even acknowledge his name, so I don't know. But the guy who committed the crimes, obviously, he's got his seat in hell, and he's also got his seat firmly in the firebox of the Jackwagon train. But I like that point you made. His seat is in hell. It's not in. It's not with Allah with his virgins. No,
he's in
he
hell.
He will not be seeing 7 virgins.
No, this fuckstick is in hell.
Oh yeah, very much so. And also in a roundabout way, I suppose I've got no choice but to throw on my own government. This whole thing could have been stopped before he even hit anybody on the bridge. You know, if we'd have had the ability to have certain people or members of the public able to defend themselves against such attacks, they probably would have seen a handful of injuries rather than 40 injuries and 4 or 5 fatalities.
Yeah, I think it's four deaths right now, but some of the other injuries may lead to deaths. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah,
but it's a whole slew of nationalities that were involved in this. So not just UK citizens, but American citizen was killed. I think there was people from Italy. There was people from all over the world. South Koreans, French, Romanians, Greeks that were affected by this one terrorist act.
Yeah, which always amazes me because I don't know if similar sort of thing happens over your side of the pond, but when things like this happen, everybody just jumps on it's this religion or it's this race or it's this, that and the other that's caused the problems. And it's not. We need to get out of that mindset. If we're going to battle this problem properly, we need to get more into the mindset of these are these people who have been radicalized by other individuals. We need to tackle that as the problem,
but it's radical what? It's radical Muslims.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's radical Muslims. And there's different stages of their religion. You know, there's the peaceful, and then there's this extremist, and you never know what state they're in, and
no, exactly, and that's half of the battle and that's why I don't think this. I can't see a peaceful and easy end to this sort of attack, because the people over in Iraq and Afghanistan that are radicalizing the people in the UK, in the US, in Europe,
all over the world. Yeah,
all over the world. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to turn the internet off and stop people being able to talk? You can't do that. So there's got to be education. There's got to be. It's a massive, massive issue. You know, it's a difficult one. But
you're going to have to profile. You have to profile. You know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're Muslim, but that's the profile. You know, it's radical Islamists that are committing these terrorist acts. So I don't know any other way to do it than to do it that way.
Yeah,
but a Muslim, could look like me. I could be a Muslim.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? You know, it's our typical. So you say the word Muslim, and people have this image that pops up in their head. Right. But that's not always the case. When you live in a country like ours in the UK, that's actually more the predominant. Muslims are not so much, the image that pops up in your head. Mm-hmm. It could be anybody, and if you've seen the images of this guy from London, he doesn't look like your typical Muslim. He looks more
the bombers. the Boston City Marathon bombers too. I mean, those.
Yeah.
You know, those two guys. They were what, Russian or Czech?
Yeah.
What were they?
They look very Eastern Bloc sort of thing, didn't they? Yeah. So yeah, I think we're starting to see the move away from that sort of look of person being the person that, because obviously they're the people that
so
you
can't go by a look, but you got to go by, you know, if somebody follows a certain religion. And this guy had a history of crime. You know, he had a police record.
Yeah,
he had a history of violence.
This is the recurring theme, isn't it? When things like this happen, what's the usual trail of events afterwards? The police usually come out and say, oh yeah, this person was on our radar and we did have intelligence that something might potentially have been going to happen, but they didn't act on it quickly enough, or the information wasn't qualified properly, or some chain of events happens, which means that person isn't taken into custody, and then things like this week's events happen. Now, it must be very hard for the authorities to be able to pick and choose which people they do and don't pick up off the streets and take into custody. But the same sort of merits, this same thing happens time and time again. So that makes me think, well, if they keep coming out with, oh, we need to have this snooping law, we have to be able to check everybody's emails all the time. What for? You're not acting on the information you've got already.
Right. And they're doing it already, you know? And it's and they may say, you know, we don't spy on our own citizens, but guess what? We spy on UK citizens, the US does, and the UK spies on US citizens. So guess what they're doing? They're exchanging their information at that point. The US is saying, hey, you give me information on our people, we'll give you information on your people.
Yeah, they can then turn around and say, oh, no, we don't spy on UK citizens. Right. But they don't have to, because we're paying your Secret Service and what have you.
We're giving the US info and they're giving us info.
Yeah, it's and yet they still get it wrong.
Well, I don't know that they get it wrong. I just think they just don't get it, you know?
Yeah.
They have their own agendas. But an act like this, I don't think it could be prevented anyway. I mean, to a certain extent, it could have been minimized, yes.
Yeah.
But somebody going to Enterprise, renting a car, and just barreling down a pedestrian bridge, mowing people down, is virtually, you can't stop, you can't predict that for the most part.
No, exactly. I mean, how many cars do you see every day? You know, they're 2 tons of metal barreling down the road at 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, whatever. Yeah. You know, they're big murdering machines if put in the hands of somebody who's in that mindset.
What does that sound like? That sounds like guns, doesn't it? And what do they do with guns? They try to ban guns.
That when put in the hands of the wrong person is turned into a killing machine.
Right, in the hands of the wrong person, anything could be turned into a weapon, a killing machine.
Exactly, which is why...
An airplane. We've seen that. New York, hello, thank you.
Yeah.
Or not thank you.
Airplanes, you know, you name it, it can be used.
Boats.
I mean, technically, can you see that? That's my very old and worn out Cantu Brunner Designs Black Ops pen.
I've got that. I've got that too. I've got one of those too. Where's it?
Hey, good old Dax. Give a big shout to Dax.
Shout
Dax
out
Brunner.
to Dax Brunner on the Cantu Brunner.
Cantu Brunner Designs. Go and check his pens out. Buy as many as you can because they're fantastic.
Look, brother.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yours looking a bit neater than mine. Mine's in.
Yeah, yours is beat up a little
bit. Yeah, mine's in my pocket. The light's reflecting off it quite a bit. You can just see the.
But that's cool. We got the same pen.
Yeah, it's very
the same Cantu Brunner Dax pen.
Yeah, CantuBrunnerDesigns.com, I think it is, isn't it? The Black Ops pen, highly recommended. I've got 2 of them now. One that I keep like yours, keep for best, and then that one's in my pocket every single day. I carry it 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I think I've had it about 18 months now, and it's never let me down once.
These things are better than Mont Blancs. Seriously.
I was walking down the high street not long after getting it, walked past a a posh jewellery shop, and they had a display with Mont Blanc pens outside. So I had to get it out of my pocket, held it in front of the window, gave the Mont Blancs the middle finger, took a picture and sent it to Dax.
Nice.
Yeah, he liked that one.
That is cool.
So, yeah, it's but technically in the UK, if I was to use that or hold it in a threatening manner, I could be prosecuted for having a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the extent of things, isn't it? You know, anything can be a deadly weapon when put in the hands of somebody in that right mindset. So, like you say, there's not a lot you can do to stop crazy people.
Nope. It's up identify them before they go crazy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy had a history, you know, so he fit a profile. Yeah. I guess he probably should have been under some sort of surveillance, but, you know, if somebody doesn't show a certain kind of behavior for a while, I guess they just kind of fall off the radar. But
yeah, I would imagine so.
I don't know. I don't think we've seen the last of this, obviously not. I mean, we're going to see it again, whether it's here in the U.S. or it's in the UK or wherever it may be. It's going to happen again. We're going to see it.
Yeah, we'll see it for many, many years. I don't know whether many of your listeners will know much about the history that the United Kingdom's got between Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the IRA, the Irish Republic Army. It's all sort of died down a fair bit the past 10, 15 years maybe. Funnily enough, since the start of all the Iraq and Afghanistan troubles, things seem to have gone quiet on the IRA front. Strange that. We seem to have shifted our target a little bit from crazy Irish people to crazy crazy Muslims.
Middle Easterns, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we spent many years dealing with
sure the crazy Irish are happy about that.
yeah. Well, at least they stopped us going over there and having to.
That's who's behind all this. Is the crazy Irish? The IRA is behind all this. They're disguising it to look like Muslim attacks.
They got the boot polish out and a couple of tea towels.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they obviously we spent many years getting bombed by the IRA and what have you. So for a radical extremist to jump in a car and injure 50 people, we're used to stuff like that in the UK these days. It's going to take a lot more than that for them to put us off our trail.
Yeah, and that's another thing is the way that the government officials are addressing these attacks. You know, they're like, you can't scare us. You know, I can't remember the words that I saw quoted, but something along the lines of, you know, you can't intimidate us. You can't scare us. But they're not trying to intimidate you. They're not trying to scare you. They're trying to kill you. They could care less if you're scared or you're intimidated, because they're not trying to get you to stop something. They're trying to kill you, eliminate you. They don't want you to stop anything. They just accept your life. They just want you to be dead, because death to the infidel. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
So why do they care if you're intimidated? They don't care.
Yeah. No, they
don't care if you're not intimidated. They don't care if you're not scared. Their sole purpose is to kill you.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends message me. Oh, I was planning on going to London this weekend, and I'll have to stop that now. So why? They'll blow you up wherever you are.
Yeah, they don't care. Doesn't matter. Their goal is not to get you to stop traveling to back and forth from country to country or from town to town. Their goal is to they'd rather you stay right where you are, because then they know where you're at. Then they're going to come. Yeah. That's easier for them to find you and kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think the only way we're going to see this sort of die down or any sort of end to it is like I was sort of starting to say with the IRA is through generational change, educating the younger generation. So as they grow up, each generation after the other realizes that that's not the way to get what they want.
But you know how many generations they have been at war? There has been a jihad? Thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That's all they've ever done has been at war.
Yeah, they're old hands at it. I mean, they kicked Russia's ass a fair few times, haven't they?
Right.
You know,
and even long before there was a Russia, they were doing this and fighting and killing each other. And
yeah, they don't know anything else. You know,
it's very arrogant of us to think that we'll be able to educate them and change them and see a different way, because this is the only way, and their way has been around a lot longer than our way has.
Yeah, I guess. You know,
I'm not saying it's right. It's not right.
No, but it doesn't hurt to try, and hopefully, as time goes on, hopefully they sort of start to see that. All right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a big wide.
It's a rabbit hole,
subject,
man. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it really is, and you could go down so many different boroughs. It's unbelievable, the education of it. And I mean, let's face it, half the reason ISIS are getting as prolific as they are is because what's their prime motive when they get into place, other than chopping heads off and raping kids, is to stop education of women. The whole sort of regime, the sort of extremist Muslim regime wants to stop the education of women, because then they know that there's not education in the homes, which means then if you control education, then you control the population.
You control everything. If you control someone's education and what they know,
look at South.
and they're only going to know what you tell them.
Is it North Korea? Which is the crazy Korea? Is it North or South?
North.
I keep forgetting. Yeah. It's the exact same thing there. They all believe that we're all out in a nuclear winter, and we're all scrounging around for varmints
like
and
The Walking
fruit,
Dead.
Yeah. So you control education and information, then you control a population. Yeah. Strange that, isn't it? How our media seems to do similar things.
Yes.
Exactly some of the media outlets you read and you think, hang on a minute. Not too dissimilar in some aspects, but at least we don't go around trying to kill people to get our way forward. So it's a big rabbit warren with lots of rabbit holes that you could go down for many, many hours. I don't think we've got enough shows in the decade, have we, that we could spend going down that.
No, but that's the thing you got to realize, is that they don't care. They don't want to change. That's not their goal. Their goal is not to change you. Their goal is to kill you.
Yeah.
And I think they figured that out a long time ago. It's like you're saying, well, maybe, hopefully we can educate them and change them and they'll see our way. I think maybe they did that.
They're doing to us.
They tried that and they're like, screw it. That's not going to work. Kill them. Death to all infidels.
Blow them up. See how many we can get each time. Yeah.
Right.
It's a scary concept, isn't it? But that's the world we've got to deal with. So, and at least you guys, you can defend yourselves. Poor old us over here, your long lost cousins over at the other side of the pond here.
Well, we're trying, man. We're trying.
If I hold my pen in the wrong way, I could be prosecuted for that. There's people who've been sent to jail for beating off attackers with a bunch of keys, and because they held the keys in between their fingers, like Wolverine's claws.
Yeah.
Because they did that as they hit somebody to try and fend them off, they were prosecuted for that. It's craziness.
Themselves.
Yeah, you literally.
Gosh. You got to be kidding me.
No. What was that? I think mid 80s, somewhere like that. I remember a case going to court and somebody was prosecuted. I can't remember whether they were actually found guilty or what have you, or whether they got off. But there was definitely a case, and somebody's life was put in the balance because they defended themselves against a would-be attacker. But because the keys,
the way they held their keys.
Yeah, the way they held their keys in between their knuckles as they made a fist, and the keys were sticking out of the knuckles, and they tried to fend this person off. They were tried to be prosecuted for that.
Oh my gosh.
It's craziness, and bit by bit, like you guys are trying to get the NFA repealed, and all the stuff that you guys are trying to do to get your Second Amendment rights to keep them intact. You've got to fight tooth and nail every single day to keep everything you've got. Don't give them an inch, because they will take a mile. And give it 5 years and you'll be getting people prosecuted for trying to defend themselves with a pen. You know, it's unbelievable. I mean, as you probably know, I've got 2 little girls.
Mm-hmm.
And
proud papa.
Yeah, try my best. I'm learning. You know, and we go out into crowded areas, and being the sort of person I am, and the you know the sort of circles I've mixed in, and the firearms side of my life, I'm constantly sort of trying to not stand out, do the grey man thing, try not to stand out too much, but constantly be aware of your surroundings and scanning for threats and stuff like that. And it's terrifying to think that somebody could just, like this week, mount the curb in a car, mow a load of people down, and you just got to stand there and watch it happen. Mm-hmm. What can you do? There's no defence. At least, like I say, if we had some form of civilian firearms ownership on a grander scale, where we're allowed to carry, pistols are banned in this country. So even if we were allowed to carry something, we'd be carrying rifles at the minute.
Right.
We're not allowed to have pistols in the UK.
Can you imagine, though, if they made pistols legal in the UK, the sales?
Oh,
gun companies would be... They would be flipping over themselves to get over there.
Yeah. I mean,
they would be killing each other to get over there.
Yeah, up until the late 80s, the pistol shooting in the UK was a massive side of the shooting sports, and when it was banned, the government bought back majority of the pistols that were out in circulation. There was a lot that were just given up freely, but they operated a buyback scheme like you guys see in states across the US.
Yeah, they used to do here. Haven't seen one lately, thank goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've not heard of one for a while, so hopefully that's all dying down for you guys. But yeah, they carried out buyback schemes across the UK, and the government paid a fortune. I think it racked into the billions to buy back these legally held firearms from people who'd owned them for 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Posed no threat to modern society, posed no threat. And in fact, majority of them were stand-up citizens, pillars of the society, decent, hard-working men and women that had to give up their firearms because one person went a bit bananas and killed a lot of kids in a school.
Well, and you can't blame it on that one person. You got to blame it on freaking politicians that take this stuff.
Unfortunately,
to their, they hang their political careers on this type of crap,
Yeah, and they make the knee-jerk reaction. Oh, well, quickly, let's ban this, that, and the other, and before you know it, an entire industry in the UK is dying. And I wouldn't mind as well, but in the case of the guy that went into the school and shot the kids, he didn't even use a pistol.
Yeah,
he didn't even have one on him from what I can remember from the reports. He used
a. You talking about here in America?
Sorry,
you're talking about here in America?
No, over in the UK. I'm being really bad now.
How long ago was that?
Oh, the late 80s. Yeah. We had two big news.
Is it the Hungford massacre?
Hungerford, that's the one. Yes.
Hungerford, okay.
Yeah, so I think it was Hungerford saw the end of pistols in the UK, and there was another one before it that saw the end of semi-automatic centre-fire rifles. So we can still have semi-automatic rimfire in the UK, but we can't have anything centre-fire as semi-auto. So at least we've still got something fun to have a play with, but it'd be nice to be able to get out to the range and rock the old 5.56 semi-auto light.
And is there any, do you see any light, or is there any push, or does anything exist to try to get them back?
There's a few little groups that are trying to get some traction with the government to get pistols back. We saw a big sort of big push around the Olympics. Obviously, the Olympic shooters needed to be able to practice the shooting and what have you. At the minute, our Olympic shooting team has to travel over to Europe and go shooting in Europe with the pistols. To get the practice in and what have you. So there was a lot of hope that whilst the Olympics was on, we might get some temporary reprieve or some form of legislation so that at least the Olympic shooters could come over and use their firearms over here.
Do your law enforcement carry pistols?
Not for the most part. We do have majority of our police officers will carry batons and like CS spray, but the majority of them are otherwise unarmed. We have specialist firearms units.
Like this officer that was killed, was stabbed to death by this latest terrorist attack here.
Yeah, well,
so all he had was a billy club and mace to protect himself.
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether the officer who was killed was a firearms officer. I don't think he was. I think he was just one of the normal sort of beat officers, that we call them beat officers. The Bobby that walks the beat. He was the normal officer you'd see walking up and down the high streets and what have you. Yeah. So probably just a little bit of a baton, a set of handcuffs, and a can of CS spray. In that detail that he was on, I would imagine he'd probably wearing a vest, but obviously the guy got the knife somewhere where the vest wasn't able to protect him, and he's paid with his life for it, unfortunately.
So I guess they're going to come after your knives after this incident.
Well, again, that's a heavily restricted item. We are not allowed to carry a knife about our person on the streets of the UK. There's a bit of legislation that said a fixed blade knife is banned for being carried on the high streets, and a folding knife with a blade of up to 3 inches is permissible with sufficient reason. So if you're just carrying one for the sake of carrying one, that's not a sufficient reason. Self-protection in the UK is not a good enough reason to
obviously
be carrying.
Not if you can't protect yourself with keys. My God.
No,
you can't defend yourself from an attacker with keys.
No, this is it. So what we see every now and again is somebody will get arrested for carrying a knife and claim, I was on my way to meet my friend and we were going fishing and I needed it for gutting a fish or whatever. Sometimes that holds up, sometimes the police see right through it and it's just some kid who, a gang member wanting to go and stab somebody. So if you've got a good enough reason to have a knife, as long as the blade's under 3 inches and it's a non-locking foldable knife, then chances are you'll get a slap on the wrists and be sent on your way. But 9 times out of 10, the police will arrest you, take you to jail, and you'll have to wait to be processed, and then you'll probably be let out afterwards. It's a case of arrest them first, and then we'll sort it out at the police house, sort of thing. Yeah.
So I hope you Leadheads are listening to this. I mean, this is firsthand account of what it's like over in the UK.
Learn from our mistakes.
where our political leaders, our government has been likening, their reasoning for taking away our guns, limiting our access to firearms, to even knives. They're basing it on the UK. Now you're hearing it firsthand from a citizen over there. How sucky it is. Yeah. Where the media here portrays it as such a great thing. Why don't we model ourselves after the UK, because their crime rate is so low over there, which it's not. Your gun violence is lower than here, but your violent crimes are higher.
Yeah, well, the main reason our gun crime is lower than yours per head, I've looked into the stats per head, and yes, our gun crime is lower per head. The reason behind that is we've got a big expanse of water around us to stop many people crossing our borders. There's only certain ways into our borders. Our naval, our Coast Guard do an excellent job at stopping boats coming into the country illegally. Our border forces do a fantastic job of stopping people bringing things into the country. Obviously, Mr. Grattan found a way of getting out with them, but he didn't get any in.
Right.
So the guys and girls that protect our borders do a very good job, and that's half the reason why our gun crime is so low, because it is so hard now for criminals to get hold of the firearms. That's only been able to be done because our country is a fraction of the size of yours. Don't forget, I think we looked into it when I was on the show with you and Dan. I think we've figured out that the UK, the Great Britain in its entirety would fit into the state of Texas 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, that's how small our country is.
Right.
You know, we could line up the entire
But
population.
Let's say, all right, so let's say somebody doesn't have guns, or they've got half the amount of guns. Obviously, their crime rate with that particular device is going to be lower.
Yeah,
because they don't exist. You know, obviously ours is going to be higher because we have more of them. We have more people. We have a higher population.
Yeah.
But look at the violent crime rate. The crimes are still being committed. They're finding other ways.
Look at our knife crime statistics.
Other devices, bats.
Yeah.
You know?
Baseball bats, you know, pint glasses. Pint glasses over here are a favourite. There are more people.
Especially after a soccer game, right?
Yeah. There's more people wounded with pint glasses in the UK on a weekend than there's probably people killed in the US in a year with firearms. It is unbelievable. You know, the football or soccer over here has a lot to answer for that side of things. I'm not saying they're all bad, but that's where, you know, I was in Manchester for the Manchester United and Manchester City derby a few years ago. I was walking through the middle of Manchester city centre and I saw 3 fights break out. This is at like 11 o'clock in the morning. 3 fights break out between drunken football supporters. And in each one of them, pint glasses were thrown from one side to another. What are you going to do? Ban pint glasses?
Obviously not, because they've been doing that for hundreds of years over there. You know, it's like a tradition, right?
Yeah. So you look at the statistics for other violent crime in the UK, and they absolutely floor you guys for like per capita. You know, the knife crime over here is unbelievable. And then even with the laws in place to say that you've got to have a good reason for carrying the knife, and it can only be a certain size.
But then who is it that are in these stats? It's criminals, right?
Yeah.
It's people who aren't following the law, who aren't abiding by the law, who have no intention of doing it, and probably have a history of not doing that are committing these crimes with the knives. You know, same thing over here with the guns.
Yeah, exactly. What is the consequence for a lot of these people not following the law? 9 times out of 10, they go to jail where they get a roof over their head, 3 square meals a day, somewhere to work out. You know, the prison system in the UK is a bit different to some of the prisons that you guys have got over there. It's more like a holiday camp over here from the reports that we see. Yeah. You do get your rough jails where, you know, there's a few people get roughed up here and there, but nothing to the extent that some of you guys have got. Yeah. Is it Texas has got the tent city, is it? I remember reading something about that. There's the jail with the governor of the jail. It was that overcrowded. Sorry?
The one that painted it pink?
I think that was it, yeah. Made all the inmates wear pink overalls and stuff.
Yeah, we talked about that with Nick Atkinson when I had the Beastmaster hunting on. Because we were in Texas, we were doing that show, and he was talking about that. That sheriff down there.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. Joe Arpaio.
That's him. Yeah. I remember reading about him and some of the stuff that he'd done with the prison over there, and thinking that that guy had the right idea. You know, make it the sort of place where people don't want to go back, and maybe they will look at changing their lives when they do get out.
But that sheriff was from Arizona.
Oh, Arizona.
Maricopa County, Arizona was Joe Arpo. But we did talk about some sheriff from Texas on our previous show with Beastmaster. So you guys can go back and listen to that show. But,
yeah.
All right, man. So that was a long jackwagon train.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was actually the whole show. The whole show was a jackwagon train. We've been like an hour and a half now. So.
All right. I totally forgot we were even doing the jackwagon bit. We just kept going with that one, didn't we?
It just goes on and on and on and on. So.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's a big rabbit hole that we went down.
It is, and like you said, I mean, we could talk forever on that and just talk ourselves in circles, basically, is what we're going to do. But
yeah.
What I thought was great was, giving our listeners a reminder of what it's like in the UK, where firearms are heavily restricted. Handguns are outlawed; they're not allowed at all. Yeah. Citizens can't own them for any reason, right?
Yeah, the only way you can get anything resembling a pistol is if it's what's classed as a long barrel revolver. So they have to have a minimum barrel length of 12 inches, I think, from memory, and they then must have like an arm brace welded on. They must, well, not welded on. They must be part of the material. Mm-hmm. So say with your 1911s, when you make the frame for the 1911, the frame must have an arm brace of 6 inches built into it, machined into it. It's got to be the solid construction. Yeah. That's the only way you can get anything resembling a pistol in the UK. And to be honest, with a 6-inch fake silencer on one end or moderator on one end and a big arm brace, they don't really resemble a pistol anymie.
Right.
If guys can go on and have a quick look on my Instagram feed. If you scroll back a fair while now, you'll be able to see a couple of photos of a few of them. I'm on Instagram as Alan Apone, ALANAPONE. You guys can go and have a nose around on there. And I've not got much firearms stuff on there at the minute. The past 12 months or so has been pretty hectic with family and racing.
So what's up with the Lamborghinis?
Oh yeah, I've got a bit of a penchant.
Lambos, huh?
Got a bit of a thing for the Lambos. Yeah.
You must be near a dealer or something. What's up with that?
My day job, I'm a fire alarm engineer in my day job, and we've got a contract with Lamborghini up in Stockport near Manchester. So I've been into them a couple of times, checking those guys' cars out whilst I've been fixing the fire alarms, and then got talking to was working away in the UK and driving down this country road on my way to my next job, past this little country pub, and as I looked into the car park, I saw I think there was 6 or 7 Lamborghinis in the car park. I thought, got to have a look and see what's going on here. Anyway, long story short, got chatting to one of the owners, a guy called Tony, and I've been sort of building up a bit of a friendship with him ever since. He's the orange Huracan that's on there, probably the most recent Lambo picture I think on there. Took me out for a spin in it a couple of months ago.
Sweet.
So it was quite.
Did you get to drive
nice.
it?
He offered me the keys, but
and you didn't take it, man.
Didn't have any.
Alan.
I know I didn't have any insurance at the time. My own car was off the road and what have you, and I've basically my own Saxo that I took off the road to convert into a full-time race car to do my own racing in. So I didn't have any insurance at the time, but since then I've got my. So if I get offered again, Tony, if you ever listen to this, you can offer me a ride in it again, and I can take it out now. So
you do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live feed when you do that.
Yeah, I will do. Don't worry. Probably just me screaming. But yeah, those things are a phenomenal piece of kit. Yeah, they're a lovely motor.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And what's the Vanquish? Did you get to do anything with the Vanquish?
Vanquish. No, that was again that was parts outside a job that I was at.
I got you.
So there was a an Aston Martin garage across the road. So went and took a few photos of those. There's a picture of me sat in the driver's seat of a Carrera 4S, I think, on there, a Porsche. I didn't drive that one, but I got the owner took me out for a spin in that one. That was a nice piece of kit. Yeah, that set me off on a bit of a Porsche fetish. Which when you mentioned mentioned in your last show about Joe Rogan, how you'd bumped into Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has got a Porsche that's been modified by a guy called Alex Ross, who runs a company called Sharkworks. They're a phenomenal piece of kit. And I'd listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with Magnus Walker, who does all old Porsches, and then Alex Ross, who modifies like the more modern Porsches. Right on. So I've been listening to his podcast for a little while, so that's why when you mentioned him, I thought, oh yeah, he'd be a good. He's quite into hunting and what have you. In fact, I was just listening to his podcast this afternoon on the way down to Silverstone, and he was talking about he's been out bow hunting with a guy, I forget the guy's name, but he's big into hunting, which is always good to see from somebody over that side of the country.
Definitely. Yeah.
Especially somebody who's involved with things like the UFC, and he's been on TV quite a bit. You tend to find they get a bit anti, don't you? But it's nice. It's nice to find the odd guy who's pretty funny and he's really funny, quite informed and likes to shoot and hunt as well. So yeah.
I got a little put off by him because he had Ventura on his show, Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, I avoided that one. Avoided that one. He referred to it in his latest podcast, so I might have to have a listen to it because he does seem to side with Ventura on that one. He did slate Chris Kyle a little bit in his latest podcast, which is a bit of a shame, but it's one of those, isn't it? He's going off the information he's got at the time. So
I understand, but at the same time. Mm-hmm. You know, the guy's a dick. He's a dick.
yeah. I probably wouldn't be on this show if I wasn't siding with Chris Kyle on that one myself. So I think Jesse Ventura needs to wind his neck in a little bit. But it is what it is.
He's in it for the publicity. He's in it for Ventura and to push and promote himself. It's obvious. It's obvious what he does. He has no other agenda but to further and push his own agenda, which is himself. Yeah, and if he did have true intentions, he would have dropped the court case when Chris was killed, and he didn't. So it just makes it more obvious that he's only in it for the money and the supposed glory, isn't it? Yeah, it's the exposure. He's getting the attention. So screw him.
Yeah. Well, that's.
But man, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, it's been good to catch up. Good to see you're still pushing the show strong, and that hair's coming on lovely, isn't it?
Oh yeah, man. I'm about an inch away. I'm gonna let it go an inch and a half because I want to make sure. Before I can cut it. So round 2. This is round 2 right here, brother.
I remember the first one, and you'll probably get the same tirade of messages going, man, you look so weird with short hair when you shave it off again. I'm
going to do something different this time with when I cut it off.
Yeah?
I don't know what I'm going to do something. I'll do something.
Mohican. Go for a Mohican.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I may do an Allen. I may go cue ball. I may go completely cue ball.
I don't know.
I've never been cue ball before, so left hand may go cue ball. We'll see. My mom's always told me to never go cue ball because I got a pointy head. She goes, "Don't do it because your head you've got one of the lumpiest heads ever." I was like, "But I'm 46 now. Surely it's different from when I was 8 or whatever."
Well, there's only one way to find out.
That's right.
I suppose the shorter you cut it, the more that you get, the more you get to donate.
Right. Well, it's the way that they do it is instead of like just one big ponytail and cutting it off, they do a bunch of little ponytails all over the hair, so you can maximize the hair that way. I took a picture of it last year, or not last year. It's been 2 years ago when I did it. and I look like Coolio.
Yeah.
You remember Coolio, the old rapper Coolio?
Yeah.
I had little ponytails all over the place. I took a picture of it. I thought I posted it, but I'll take another picture when I do it again and post it so everybody can see that. Everybody have a good laugh at it.
Yeah. It's a fantastic cause as well. Anything that you can do to help kids out. I mean, like I was saying earlier, we're sort of helping kids run race cars, but indirectly, the championship donates money to the Teenage Cancer Trust. So helping kids with cancer and obviously your Locks for Locks things. Hawks for Locks.
Yeah, AJ Hawks. It's Hawks Locks. Yeah. Hawks Locks of Love or For Love, something like that.
Yeah, fantastic. Anything you can do to help kids make a kid's life a little bit easier.
Yeah, anybody who's not just kids, but this does go to kids, but anybody who's tragically, fire, cancer, however, they've lost their hair. I'm glad to donate because I can grow it, might as well. Well, Alan, again, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much. We're going to do this more often. We need to do like a once a month or once a quarter. Get caught up on what's going on across the pond.
Yeah, it'd be great too. Yeah, and I'll, like I say, life's been a bit hectic the past 12 months with the family growing up and the race cars sort of taking off. Yeah. But things should be sort of leveling out a little bit this year. So people should be seeing a lot more firearms related stuff from me, and it's something I need to get back into, dedicating a bit more time to. It's shooting's as you guys and your listeners will know, shooting is a perishable skill. If you don't go out and practice regularly, you will get worse at it. And I seem to be relatively lucky that I only ever seem to drop to a certain level and I can pick it back up again pretty quickly. So I need to get back into it and maybe get some competitions done this year and what have you. As one thing that we are starting to see a big uptake in is two-gun competitions. So rifles and shotguns.
Rifle, shotgun, yeah.
Yeah,
because you can't have pistols. Does this make you jealous? I'm holding a handgun right here. I'm rubbing it in your face right now.
One day I will get a plane ticket and I will come and have a go at that.
Yes, sir. You need to come on. Oh, you got a place to stay anytime. You can stay here at the lead quarters. Definitely. Yeah, but this is the Glock I had custom done. Danny at Pack Arms. Right.
Oh, I like this. Yeah, I remember. The little sword in the side's fantastic. How has he done that? Have they CNC machined into it?
It's a secret. He won't say. But yeah, he used a machine, ported it. It's a port. It's all the way through.
Oh, right.
So you can see the barrel through it.
Yeah.
And then the top, fantastic. He did the shield and ported it, and you see the barrel.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's ace, isn't it? That's really good.
So, Alan, real quick, give everybody the link to where they can hook up with you, where they can hook up with your race endeavors here.
Yeah, my personal Instagram feed is Alan Apone, at Alan Apone, AlanApone. I've got Instagram. I don't really do much on Twitter, although I think I've got it linked to my Instagram. The race car side of things, you can check out at Made Motorsport. I think it's at Made_Motorsport. There's a guy on who's got the Made Motorsport thing from America somewhere. I've messaged him to try and get the proper title off him, but not heard anything back. So yeah, if you just search for Made Motorsport, you'll be able to find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're trying to get a lot of stuff posted up onto Instagram and then linking it through into Twitter and Facebook. So cool. It seems quite easy to do stuff that way. So yeah, just any questions about UK firearms laws, what you can and can't bring over with you if you're coming over to visit, then yeah, send us some messages over and I'll help you guys out where I can.
There you go. And make sure you guys check out all the people that make this show possible. Frontier Tactical, check them out, frontiertactical.com. Cobalt Kinetics, cobaltkinetics.com. X-Steel Targets, xsteeltargets.com. And Modern
Targets.
X-Steel Targets.
Ping.
It's the ding. I love that bit. Turn it up every time in the car.
And Modern Spartan Systems at modernspartansystems.com. And if you hadn't got the skill set yet, go to Barnes & Noble, get the skill set magazine, the Alpha Lifestyle magazine, the new one. That's featuring in the first issue a little review done by our buddy Argo J. Check it out. And Glock. Check them out. us.glock.com. And who else? Is that everybody?
Cantu Bruner Designs.
Oh yeah, Cantu Bruner Designs. Hit up Dax. Say just heard a freaking Brit and an American talking about your products. They had the exact same pen. It was the Stealth, right? Is that the ones we have?
Black Ops, I think, wasn't
Black
it?
Ops or Stealth or something. It's black and it's got like a carbon fiber. Top
carbon fiber back strap.
Yeah, if you want to be a cool guy, then get that pen and tell him Alan and Lefty sent you. And he'll charge you double.
It's got to make up for what I saved on mine.
That's right, exactly. Mine too, and my zombie pen that day. And as always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close
and your firearms closer. Otherwise, you'll end up having to recite a big long spiel at the end of this, like in episode 54 when I was on with Dan Paramaniac Products.
And your firearms in a manufactured safe built in compliance with BS 7558 of 14-gauge steel construction with interior hinges and locking mechanism, a minimum of 3 locking bolts bolted to a solid or exterior wall, and the keys to be kept in a secondary safe location.
Welcome to the UK.
There it was.
Go back and
Episode
listen to
54. Man, we've been going back a while with our guests, so it's been almost 3 years since you've been on too. That was January 31st, 2014.
Wow. That doesn't feel like that long ago. Wow.
It doesn't, does it?
No, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
You had to have written that down to...
Yeah.
You did not just remember that.
I had about 4 Post-it notes stuck together with it all written down so I could just read it off.
That was a mouthful. That was awesome, though. All right, guys, make sure if you didn't hear our first episode with him, it's TLP 54. Go back, check out that episode, and we'll be back next week.